think in 2000, Y2k, was a chance happening for India. Sometimes they say, some events happen by chance and they create some very positive unintended consequences. And that was what happened in the year Y2k. So all the in computers that were in vogue, the date was stored, the year was stored as a two-digit number. So for example, the year 95 was stored as not 1995, but simply 95. They were saving on 2 bits. So what happened as the year 2000 approached was the last two digits would be zeros, and the computers would get confused and would think that 2000 is same as 1900. So a lot of code, in fact, trillions of lines of code had to be rewritten, and the only way that could be done was employing manual labor. And fortunately, India, had a large number of English-speaking, low-cost resources that the Western world managed to use and could write or rewrite trillions of lines of code. And in the process, I think the Western world also realized that India has a tremendous amount of talent. And a lot of so-called higher end work also could be outsourced to India. So a lot of application maintenance, application development could be done out of India. So this was a big boost because for the first time, Indian companies could be built by first generation entrepreneurs. These first generation entrepreneurs did not have to interact with the government, did not have to deal with the creaky infrastructure of India. They had to deal with American and European companies, which were run pretty professionally. Payments were never a problem, contracts were honored, and it was easy to deal with those companies. So many of these, first generation entrepreneurs built multi-billion dollar businesses. And for the first time, the culture in corporate changed. Until then, they were all family run businesses, very hierarchical. The family owner's son would come and begin to call the shots, and very senior level people could do nothing excepting pay respects to some of these family scions. So a lot of that changed. For the first time, you had professionally run companies. People, were respected. Employees were respected, treated with respect by professional managers, and even the founders and entrepreneurs, because the founders and entrepreneurs were also themselves professionals, and they understood the importance of treating people with respect. So for the first time, I think we had companies in India which matched global standards in terms of culture and in terms of the way they were run, with the degree of professionalism that was there in the Western world. And also for the first time, many people in India began experiencing Western standards of living. So many of these employees in IT services companies, at least at senior leadership levels, began to get well paid, began to get paid international salaries, and were able to lead some amazing lives. And for the first time, you had, lot of first-class residential complexes coming up in cities in India, beautiful offices, very high caliber infrastructure, at least in the offices. But once you step out of the offices, the roads were the same, the airports were the same, the power infrastructure was the same. And therefore, many of these companies actually ran, bus services so that they could bring employees to the workplace on time. They had to have digital, diesel generation sets because the power itself was not very reliable. So all